A trove of new text messages and emails revealing how Fox executives, hosts, and staff really felt about former President Donald Trump and the 2020 election lies he and his associates were pushing. One host writing that he hates Trump, quote, passionately, adding there isn't really an upside to Trump. This all comes as part of Dominion Voting Systems' $1.6 billion lawsuit against Fox. CNN's Paula Reed poured through the wave of new court filings and the new insight they give us into what individuals who work at Fox were truly thinking.
New documents reveal more evidence that Fox News stars and top executives believed Trump and his allies were lying about the 2020 election.
Voter fraud is something that is real, that just took place 2 weeks ago.
But amid falling ratings, the network continued to promote Trump and his lies.
The outcome of our presidential election was seized from the hands of voters.
According to court documents, host Tucker Carlson texted a producer on January 4th, 2021, just 2 days before the Capitol attack. We're very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I hate him passionately. I can't handle much more of this. Admitting what a disaster it's been is too tough to digest. But come on, there isn't really an upside to Trump. Those private remarks, a total contrast to Carlson's public support of Trump that same night.
What happened was the people in charge rigged the game.
Carlson's private messages were released as part of Dominion Voting Systems' $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit against the right-wing network. The trove of documents turned over in discovery reveal that doubts extended all the way to the top. On January 21st, 2021, the first full day of President Joe Biden's administration, Fox chairman Rupert Murdoch conceded in an email to Fox News' CEO Suzanne Scott that some of Fox's top talent went too far.
Disturbing irregularities have been found and must be investigated to the fullest.
Then, during his deposition, Murdoch was asked, do you believe that Dominion was engaged in a massive and coordinated effort to steal the 2020 presidential election? Murdoch replied, no. Fox now saying Dominion is cherry-picking emails and documents to release. Dominion has been caught red-handed using more distortions and misinformation in their PR campaign to smear Fox News and trample on free speech and freedom of the press. But Dominion says the emails, texts, and deposition testimony speak for themselves. The revelations, though, didn't come as a surprise to at least one Republican.
I'm not surprised that intelligent people realized that what they were saying on the air was untruthful, was lies, and I'm just disappointed that they would sell their personal integrity so cheaply.
We're expecting new evidence to be released tonight. Some of the documents already coming in. We've begun to review those. Jake, as you know, both sides of this case have already asked a judge to resolve this in their favor without going to trial. There is, of course, also a small chance that they could settle, but right now this case is scheduled to go to trial next month in Delaware. It's expected to last around 5 weeks.
All right, Paula Reed, thanks so much. With me to discuss, CNN political commentator Bakari Sellers, a former Democratic elected official, and former Trump White House Communications Director Alyssa Farah-Griffin. Bakari, here are some of the quotes from Tucker Carlson revealed in the filings. Tucker said, quote, we're very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. I hate him passionately. I blew up at former White House official Peter Navarro today in frustration. I actually like Peter, but I can't handle much more of this. That's the last 4 years. We're all pretending we've got a lot to show for it because admitting what a disaster it's been is too tough to digest, but come on, there isn't really an upside to Trump. Now, hold on 1 second, Bakari, because I'm going to say something that you might be surprised. This really isn't relevant to whether or not Fox lied about the elections. Dominion is not suing Fox for lying about Trump and pretending they like Donald Trump. Dominion is suing Fox for lying about the elections and platforming liars about the elections. You're a lawyer. Does this not boost the Fox argument that Dominion is, in many of these filings, just trying to embarrass them?
Well, they are trying to embarrass them, and I think that it is, Dominion trying to win, not just in the court of law, but in the court of public opinion. And let me just kind of reframe your statement just a little bit, because it's not just proving that Fox News lied about the 2020 elections, but they willfully lied about those 2020 elections. And I think that some of these comments, some of these text messages, some of the things that are coming out show that not only did they know it was false, not only did they despise this man, but they did it anyway. And when you combine these things with some context in Rupert Murdoch's context, this was all about green. This was all about money. When you look at this just from a viewer's perspective, though, it shows you that there's no difference really than between, Tucker Carlson and, say, Hulk Hogan or a professional wrestler. It looks like it's all entertainment. It looks like it's all done for show. And regardless of those journalistic ethics or truth, it does not matter to certain hosts at Fox News. And the problem is that they're good people at Fox News and good journalists at Fox News, but Tucker just doesn't want to be considered one of those.
So, Alyssa, Tucker's not being sued for pretending that he likes Donald Trump, and you and I are not attorneys, but I'm wondering, as somebody who worked in the Trump administration, and the Trump administration obviously worked hand in glove with Fox, what's your reaction to what I'm saying right now? Like, does this not look? I mean, I hate those election lies wherever they come from, and certainly Fox pushed them all, and apparently willingly, but. This isn't really part of the case here.
It's not, but I do think it matters. It just shows how craven the lying was, frankly, and the motivations behind it. I mean, Bakari mentioned, I think that the most damning thing that's come out is this Rupert Murdoch quote where he says, "It's not red or blue, it's green." I'm not even sure that they necessarily care about which party they're boosting or who they're boosting so long as the ratings are there. And here's the danger. I talk about how we live in split screen America. Half the country is going to keep watching Fox, and they're not really going to know that this lawsuit takes place. They're not really going to know that they've been actively lied to by one of the most watched man in cable news about the election and any number of other things. I do give credit to people like Bret Baier and some reporters who have at least covered the story on the airwaves, but it's so indicative of just this climate that we're in politically where you can kind of choose your own news, you can choose your own facts, and Fox has been boosting some of the biggest liars in their prime time.
I don't think Bret Baier has covered the Dominion lawsuit. I think he covered the fact that McConnell was pushing back on the January 6th coverage, but I don't think
it's basic journalism, and there's much.
I don't think anybody at Fox or the New York Post or any number of conservative outlets have even covered the Dominion lawsuit, which is just a basic journalism story. Bakari, we're also seeing, let's talk about Rupert Murdoch, his deposition, we're seeing more from that. Murdoch was asked by Dominion lawyers, do you believe that Dominion was engaged in a massive and coordinated effort to steal the 2020 presidential election? Murdoch replied, no. Have you ever seen any credible evidence to suggest that Dominion was engaged in a massive and coordinated effort to steal the 2020 election? No, Murdoch replied. And this is more of the chairman of Fox saying that he knew stories and guests on Fox about Dominion allegedly engaging in voter fraud were not true. You're an attorney. Is this case going to be a slam dunk for Dominion?
It's not a slam dunk, but it is going to be something as more and more of these depositions come out where you're going to see Fox, and I would not be surprised if this actually did not make it to a jury verdict. Now, the trial may start, but I can only see this particular case with all of this somewhat what appears to be damning evidence. We haven't seen all of it, but I can't imagine this actually going to a jury verdict. But you look at this evidence as it comes out, you look at reaching that high bar. It's still a very high bar to reach, but these comments by Rupert Murdoch, and I agree with Alyssa, this is the most damning piece of evidence that comes out. This is the CEO of this Fox News conglomerate knowing that the information that they are putting out is false and willingly or acquiescing to it being disseminated. That is a huge problem for their lawyers to overcome. I can only see their lawyers saying, look, we need to get out of this some way. We need to find an off-ramp. What is that number? What does that settlement look like? Let's have that conversation and let's see if it can be done.
Yeah, and Alyssa, I want to get your reaction to the fact that while this story is breaking, at the same time, the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, gave Fox exclusive access to more than 40,000 hours of Capitol security footage of the January 6th attack. And obviously that has been used on Fox to try to paint the insurrection as largely peaceful, largely unviolent, with a bunch of sightseers. Take a listen to how Republicans are responding on the Hill to how Fox portrayed this.
It's a revisionist thing that I think is unfair to the American people.
It wasn't a stroll through the Capitol. It was an attack on our Capitol.
It was an outrageous act. A lot of people were injured. Our building was severely damaged. And efforts to try and pretend that it was something other than that are despicable and frankly dangerous.
McCarthy had a huge hand in this. Why would he do that?
Oh, it's just so irresponsible and reckless, but it's also the most predictable outcome. So Tucker Carlson got something like 40,000 hours of footage, and he decided to air just random bits to suggest, of course, that it was peaceful, not going, not airing the footage that shows people like my friend Officer Fanone being beaten and people saying use his weapon to kill him. But this was a deal that Kevin McCarthy had made when he was trying to get the speakership. And what I think it does is it undermines everything. In the moment that this huge lawsuit is looming, Tucker Carlson's actually leaning into conspiracy. She's not shying away from it. And I think it shows how untouchable he feels at a network that has just boosted conspiracies left and right.
Yeah. By the way, we're on day 2 of Speaker McCarthy not getting back to me on my 4 questions about whether he agrees with the conclusions on that Fox program. Alyssa Farah Griffin, Bakari Sellers, thanks so much.